said you owed me for the time I did inside.
I want to start by saying I really enjoyed the first film, but part two, heads and tails better, in my opinion, than the first. And I've got to say, Robbie, as awesome as you are in this, Sirena, you are the reason why this sequel is as good as it is. So I have a soft spot for movies where there's kind of that protector taking care of the kid, but the kid has the ability to take care of themselves. Sirena, for you joining this story, what was it like kind of being really the only kid in this story full of a bunch of adults?
I mean, it didn't feel that way. They were all so welcoming, and it just felt right. And honestly, it didn't even feel like there was like an age difference between.
Because I'm such a child off camera.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, honestly, they were all a bunch of little kids with me, so you know, it's cool.
I have to get someone out of the city tonight. A friend.
Awesome. And Robbie, I think that there's a growth. I mean, obviously 5 years have passed since the first film, but your character has evolved, I think, in a lot of ways. There was kind of a naive element of knowing what he wanted to try and save his mom in the first one, but in this, there's a maturity there. Did you feel that there was another level to the character just with the amount of time that's passed?
Oh, absolutely. I think, Chris and Jeff are so good at writing for mine and Steven's voices, and that includes, us getting older in the last 5 years. So I think it's a maturity in the writing, it's a maturity in the character, it's a maturity of 5 years in prison. And I thought what was interesting was Jeff and I spoke about when Mina first tells Connor to take care of her, he's like, the movie starts moving very quickly, but he's like, I just want there to be that moment of you don't want to do this. Like, you don't want to get swept back into this life again. You just got out of it. You just got out of jail, but you have to help this kid. And we were very lucky to find Sirena in our long, hard, Canadian-wide talent search, and she's just so good. From the moment we read together, she brings this grounded, natural take to Pav, and it fits so well in our universe.
You do that for me, we're even.
I'll help you. My quick question first. What is it about me that you would choose this pathetic life?
I'm awesome. Really enjoyed the first film quite a bit. Part two, heads and tails, better than the first film in every way. Absolutely love this movie. And I got to start with Alex. Your character, it reminded me so much of late 80s, early 90s action movie villains. And I don't know if it's your badass voice or if it's just the way that you carry yourself, but this is like a great bad guy. Did you view yourself playing this character as a villain, or did you view it in a different way?
I always view things as it's my story, and and that's how you got to tackle things. And as far as that '80s villain that you're talking about, it's funny because the only request I had for King was to make sure he had that mustache, that facial hair, and so I'm glad you picked up on that.
It's awesome. And I think that maybe it gets sold at the end. And obviously there's a tease for where we could go beyond part two at the end here. I don't know, was it an intentional choice to have King wearing like a badass Shaft villain suit coming out of the courthouse?
No.
That was awesome.
No. Listen, Jeff Chan and Chris Pare are just masterminds. So I don't know anything, but if they have something planned, you could bet on something planned for that for sure.
I know stuff.
You do. Okay. Sure. Can I have a prison ride with you? I just want a prison
Well,
ride with Garrett.
speaking of that, Stephen, you're a big fan of yours for a long time. I think that what was really cool in the first film is, you're not that great of a guy. You're kind of, you have positive motivations, but carrying those off in a negative way. And here, you kind of see things shifting more towards that anti-hero, positive hero kind of mold. Did you feel that growth in the character between part one and part two?
Yeah, 100%. He is much more entrenched in the community right now. It's his community. He's very protective of it, and if you're his people, that's good. If you're not, that's not good for you.
You try to act like you're looking out for people like us, but I think you're a parasite.
And from the change from the first one, which felt kind of like a heist movie, and then this one is that protective adventure, was this something while you were making it, you were already thinking of all the directions this story could go? Like, is this the beginning of a larger franchise, a larger universe where we could see the next one going in a different direction and so on?
We hope so. The first movie was made off of a short film, and you're trying to make a movie out of a 10-minute proof of concept and keep as much of it as you can, but at the end of the day, you have to turn it into a feature film. I think, the script was ever evolving as well because we were raising more money on Indiegogo, and as we got more money, we wanted to put more into the movie, and everything, that we had was on screen. I think we all learned a lot. It's a lot of the same crew from the short to the first movie to the second movie. I'm super proud of the first movie, but I think the second movie is better. Jeff and Chris do a lot of research when they're writing these movies, and we always want to make them feel like they are 5 minutes in the future and they could be happening, any day now. We want them to feel topical. We want them to pose questions and live in a gray area where not everybody agrees with what everybody does, but we also want to entertain and make something commercial that people are going to want to see. So it's a little bit of a balancing act, but at the end of the day, we like to have the sci-fi elements kind of sit in the background to a character-driven story, and these small kind of personal stories within Lincoln City while building out that world.
And Sirena, for you, you've saw so many cool scenes in this. There's action, there's a lot of just kind of interaction between the different characters. Did you have a favorite scene in this film, like that was the most fun to shoot, or just you think is just your favorite overall?
I think the scene where, I think I can say this, right? Where,
Sure.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
Where Pav's memories were about to be erased. That was a
You're so
really
good at
cool
that scene.
scene. Like the hypnotic and the effects on it was crazy, and just being there, and then the water and
Your tears
the
dripping
powers.
down your
Yeah.
eyes, so good.
I think that one, hands down, is the best.
Sergeant Kingston is a rising star in downtown Lincoln.
I made a deal with a cop. He gets the cut, and we get to run this place.
And I think that the film reminded me, and I don't know if the first one was more of a heist movie. It definitely had that criminal feel. This one reminded me a lot of the film last year, The Creator, where it's that guardian protecting the child, but the child has that ability to carry themselves. Was that intentional for this story to be really distinct from the first one in terms of the story style and taking it in that different direction?
Yeah, I know that I mean, Robbie's really referred to it like as a chase movie. That's really what it feels like. Although I feel like it hits a lot of the same beats that the first one hit, and I don't mean that as a criticism. I think that's a formula, and I don't know. The thing that I like about this movie is that we spend the first little bit of it, winding up and winding up and winding up, and then once you tip over and you start going down that hill, it just doesn't stop until it's over.
And something that I really liked here is that, and I don't know how intentional this was, Alex, in the first film, you've got that small scene, but I love how it's grown here. It's like the seeds were planted to turn this character into something more. Did you have any idea you'd be coming back after filming the first one?
No, I had no idea, but I'm really glad that I did, because it was a great script, really juicy one, and I love that the first film was backed by fans, and here comes Netflix to say, hey, we are going to give you guys what you want, and they delivered.
They didn't give us everything that we wanted.
Oh, they didn't?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Well, and I want to say, Stephen, there was talk for a while there about maybe part 2 wasn't going to be a film, maybe there was going to be a TV show, maybe there was going to be all of these other things. Was this something coming out of part 1, or maybe now more so in part 2 with the tease at the end, of this turning into, I hate to use the phrase cinematic universe because it's so overused, but expanding Lincoln City and really telling different kinds of stories within this world?
I hope so, because when I think that there is a real value in the world of Lincoln City, because a short film, 2 films now, but I feel like we have touched a very, very small percentage of what this world could be, how it builds out. So when I finished watching the second movie, my first thought was, I want to know more. So hopefully that's what other people think. And, I know that Jeff and Chris Pare, his writing partner, that have crafted the first two movies. I know that they have ideas and stuff like that. And they seem to have done a good job so far. So hope people watch it and we get to make more.